The big meeting hall on planet Taraxis was like a beautiful dream. The roof was made of crystal that turned sunlight into rainbows. Daewon stood in the middle of it all, wearing his best suit. He was Earth's ambassador, and today was important. Very important. Around him sat leaders from 47 different alien races. Some looked like giant insects. Some were made of living crystal. Others breathed gas instead of air and lived in special suits. They all came here to decide one thing. Should humans be allowed to join their club? The Galactic Council, they called it. Daewon had worked for 30 years to get to this moment. 30 years of talking, negotiating, making friends. Behind him stood his team. Hana was his assistant, smart and quick. Young Sik was the military expert, always calm and watching. Jiwoo knew more about aliens than any human alive. They were good people, the best. The big boss of the council was a creature called a Vectros. It was tall, covered in glowing scales, and had 8 eyes. When it spoke, a machine translated its words into every language. "We must discuss the human request," the Vectros leader said. "They want full membership. They want to vote on important decisions. We think this is too soon." Daewon had heard this before. Too young, too dangerous, too unpredictable. Never mind that human doctors had saved millions of alien lives. Never mind that human engineers had fixed broken star systems. Never mind that humans had helped build half the spaceships in the galaxy. The aliens were afraid. That was the real reason. "Sir," Daewon said politely, "humans have done everything you asked. We followed every rule. We kept every promise. We helped everyone who needed it." The Vectros stared at him with all 8 eyes. "Yes, Ambassador. You followed the written rules. But there are other things to think about. Things not in the rules." Whispers filled the hall. Some aliens looked uncomfortable. Young Sik quietly recorded everything on his tablet. "Maybe," the Vectros continued, "humans should wait longer. Maybe another 100 years. Or 200 years. 200 years. Daewon kept his face calm, but inside he felt cold. 200 years meant everyone alive today would be dead before humans got what they earned. It meant their children and grandchildren would still be treated as less important. It meant the answer was no. "High Arbiter," Daewon said carefully. "Perhaps we could take a short break? Maybe we could talk privately." The explosion came without warning. The crystal roof shattered into 1,000 pieces. Sharp fragments flew everywhere like knives. The blast threw Daewon backward. His head hit something hard. His ears rang with a high, painful sound. Smoke filled the beautiful hall. Aliens screamed in their different languages. Daewon tried to stand up. His legs would not work. Through the smoke, he saw Hana pulling Jiwoo toward the exit. Young Sik was shouting into his radio, calling for help. The Vectros leader lay on the floor in pieces, its glowing scales turning dark. Everywhere, aliens were dying. The ones who breathed special gas choked as their suits broke. Others screamed or went silent. The crystal aliens stopped moving, their light going out forever. "Ambassador!" Young Sik appeared above him, blood running down his face. "Sir, we need to move now." Daewon tried to talk, but something was very wrong. He looked down and saw red spreading across his nice suit. Strange. He could not feel any pain. Just cold. So cold. "Tell them," he whispered, holding Young Sik's arm tight. "Tell Earth we tried our best." The last thing Daewon saw was the broken ceiling above him. Through it, he could see stars. Beautiful stars that humans would never reach as equals. Then everything went dark. Young Sik held the ambassador as he died. Around them, the meeting hall burned. 347 beings dead in seconds. And Young Sik knew, in that moment, that something had broken. Something that could never be fixed. The galaxy had wanted to see what humans were really like. They were about to find out. Later, when the rescue teams came, they found Young Sik still holding the ambassador. His eyes were dry, his face was calm. But inside, something had changed. The man who loved peace was gone. What remained was a soldier who remembered every single detail. He would never forget the smell of smoke and blood. He would never forget the sound of dying aliens. He would never forget the weight of Daewon in his arms, growing cold and still. Most importantly, he would never forget who was responsible. The galaxy thought it knew humans. They thought humans were soft, diplomatic, peaceful. They were about to learn the truth. Humans could be all those things. But when you killed their people, when you destroyed their hopes, when you took away someone they loved, humans became something else entirely. They became dangerous. As young Sik walked out of the burning hall, carrying evidence in his pocket that would change everything, he made a silent promise. Ambassador Daewon had spent 30 years building peace. Young Sik would spend the rest of his life making sure that peace meant something, even if he had to burn the galaxy down to do it. The meeting hall continued to burn. Emergency lights flashed red, sirens wailed, and somewhere far away, on a blue planet called Earth, people were about to receive the worst news of their lives. Their ambassador was dead, murdered in what should have been a safe place, killed while trying to make the galaxy better. And the galaxy, thinking it had solved its human problem, had no idea what was coming. No idea at all. Earth received the terrible news at 3 in the morning. The message traveled faster than light across the stars, but it still felt too slow, too late. Minho stood by the window in his office in Geneva. He was the Secretary General, the leader of Earth's government. He had not slept in 16 hours. Outside, the sun was coming up over the lake, but Minho did not care about the beautiful view. His mind was full of death and numbers. 347 dead. 12 alien species had lost their leaders, and one human ambassador who had worked for peace his entire life was now just ashes and memory. His assistant, Sora, walked in with another report. Her eyes were red from crying. She put the tablet on his desk without speaking. Minho picked it up and started reading. It was the official investigation report from Taraxis security forces. They had finished very quickly. Too quickly for something so important. Too quickly, to be honest. The report blamed humans. Human bombs. Minho read out loud, his voice flat and tired. The explosions match human military weapons. Unknown human terrorist group responsible. Motive: force the Council to accept them through fear and violence. It is a lie, Sora said quietly. Our people died there too. Ambassador Daewon died there, died trying to help them, Minho finished. But truth does not matter anymore. Not to them. He turned from the window. What about our military? What is Admiral Sunmi saying? Sora took a deep breath. Admiral Sunmi wants to see you right now. She's very angry with your order to do nothing. Minho was not surprised. Admiral Sunmi had commanded Earth's defense fleet for 8 years. She had fought space pirates. She had stopped wars between colonies. She had kept peace in a galaxy that saw humans as useful but not equal. Now that galaxy was calling them terrorists, and the Council had acted fast to punish Earth. Human ships were turned away from every alien planet. Trade agreements were canceled. Communication channels were closed. 47 worlds that humans had called friends now treated them as enemies. Earth was completely alone. Send her in, Minho said. Admiral Sunmi walked in like an angry storm. She was 53 years old with gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. She did not salute. She slammed her hands on the desk. Tell me we are not just accepting this lie. Minho looked at her steadily. We are trying to talk with them peacefully. Talk peacefully? Sunmi laughed, but there was no humor in it. They killed Daewon. They killed 300 innocent people, blamed us for it, and now they are starving us economically. And you want to send them polite messages? I want, Minho said quietly, to not give them a reason to start a real war. War? Sunmi stood straight. They think we are weak. They think because we have been nice for 30 years we forgot how to fight. Sir, my fleet could reach Taraxis in 3 days. We could demand a real investigation. And then what? Minho's voice got sharp. We fight the Vectros? We fight the Trellix? We fight the entire Galactic Council? We are one species against 46 others, Admiral. We cannot win. Sunmi was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was dangerous and low. Then maybe it is time they remember why they should be afraid of us. Before Minho could answer, an emergency alarm sounded. Sorar's face appeared on the screen, looking shocked and pale. Sir, we have an incoming message from the Galactic Council. They are giving us an ultimatum. The message was only audio, but Minho knew the voice. It was Chancellor Vorn, an alien who had once called humanity the galaxy's biggest disappointment. To the human government, after the terrorist attack on Taraxis Prime, the Galactic Council has voted. The vote was unanimous. Humanity is expelled from all Council territories. All human ships must leave Council space within 72 hours. Any ships found after that time will be considered hostile and destroyed. A military task force is being assembled to enforce this order. You have 12 hours to respond. Use that time wisely, the message ended. Silence filled the office. Sunmi looked at Minho. Still want to send polite messages? Minho stared at the screen for a long time. Outside his window, Earth kept turning, not knowing that 300 light-years away the galaxy had just declared war on humanity. No, he said finally. Get me General Taehyun. Wake up every admiral we have. He turned to face Sunmi, and she saw something new in his eyes, something hard and cold that had not been there before. It is time, Minho said softly, to remind them what humans do best. Sunmi's smile was cold and sharp. And what is that, sir? War, he said. We are very good at war. For 30 years, humanity had smiled and helped and built peace. They had saved alien lives. They had fixed broken worlds. They had worked so hard to be good neighbors in the galaxy. But the galaxy had forgotten something important. Humans had not always been peaceful. On Earth, humans had fought terrible wars for thousands of years. They had learned every way to hurt and kill and destroy. They had become very, very good at it. Then they had chosen to be better, to be peaceful, to help instead of hurt. But that was a choice, and the galaxy had just made humanity change their choice. Minho made phone calls all morning. Admirals woke up to urgent messages. Generals received new orders. Scientists who had been building peaceful things were asked to remember how to build weapons. Shipyards that made trading vessels began making warships. Earth had been ready for this day. They had hoped it would never come. They had prayed they would never need their hidden weapons, their secret plans, their military power that no alien had ever seen. But they had been ready, just in case. By noon, every human ship in the galaxy received the same message. Come home, bring everyone, war is coming. By evening, the asteroid belt around Earth began to wake up. What aliens thought were mining stations revealed themselves as weapon platforms. What looked like simple communication satellites turned out to be targeting systems. Every moon, every planet, every piece of rock in the solar system had been turned into a fortress. Humanity had spent 30 years building peace. But they had spent 100 years preparing for war, because humans remembered their history. They knew that sometimes, no matter how hard you try to be good, someone will try to hurt you, and when that happens, you need to be ready. Admiral Sunmi stood in her command center, watching reports come in. Her fleet was assembling. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier was getting ready. She thought about Ambassador Daewon, who had died trying to make peace. She thought about all the humans who had worked so hard to be friends with the galaxy, and she made a promise. Daewon had failed to bring peace, but Sunmi would make sure his death meant something. The galaxy wanted war. Humanity would give them war. And they would learn why humans had survived every terrible thing their planet had thrown at them. They survived because they were stubborn. They were smart. And they were very, very dangerous when someone they loved got hurt. The countdown had begun. 72 hours until the deadline. 72 hours until the galaxy would see what humanity really was. And it would be too late to take it back. The alien war fleet arrived at the edge of the solar system exactly 72 hours and 14 minutes after they sent their ultimatum. Commander Xerax led the fleet. He was a Vectros warrior who had conquered 12 rebellious colonies before. Dealing with humans would be easy, he thought. Show them overwhelming power, accept their surrender, and occupy their planet. Simple. What Xerax found changed everything he thought he knew about humans. Sir, his sensor officer said in alarm, I am detecting massive weapons throughout the entire system. They have turned everything into a weapon. Xerax looked at his tactical screen with all 4 of his eyes. What should have been a few defense platforms was actually a nightmare. The asteroid belt was now a massive weapons grid. Every moon, every space station, every shipping lane had weapons. Lots and lots of weapons. How long have they been preparing this? Xerax demanded. Unknown, sir. But this level of preparation would take decades. Many decades. While humans had been smiling and negotiating and helping rebuild alien worlds, they had been building the most defended star system anyone had ever seen. They just never mentioned it. Open a communication channel, Xerax ordered. Let us see if they are ready to be reasonable. The face that appeared on his screen surprised him. Admiral Sunmi looked more like a teacher than a warrior. She had kind eyes and a calm face. Until you looked closer, those eyes had seen war and death and had decided the price was worth paying. Commander Xerax, she said pleasantly. I assume you are here to accept our demands? Xerax's translator must have broken. Your demands? You know that 600 warships are at the edge of your system? 643, actually. We have excellent sensors. Sunmi smiled, but her eyes stayed cold. Here are humanity's terms. The Galactic Council will investigate the Taraxis bombing properly. All sanctions against human ships will be removed immediately. And you will apologize formally for murdering Ambassador Daewon and his delegation. Xerax would have laughed if his species could. Admiral, you cannot possibly believe— You have 24 hours, Sunmi interrupted. After that, we will consider your fleet an invasion force and respond accordingly. You would declare war? Against the entire Galactic Council? Sunmi's expression finally changed. The professional mask fell away. What remained was something ancient and cold. Commander, you killed our ambassador. You blamed us for a massacre we did not do. You sanctioned our people, threatened our ships, and came to our home with warships. She leaned forward, and Xerax felt ancient fear rise in his blood, the recognition that something was hunting him. You did not declare war on us, Commander. We are just returning the favor. The transmission ended. Xerax stared at the blank screen. 23 hours later, when his deadline passed without response, Xerax made the decision that would be studied in military schools for generations. He ordered the fleet to advance into human territory. The humans hit them at the outer edge of the system. The attack came from everywhere. Human ships appeared from hiding spots in the icy debris. They were smaller than alien ships, but faster. Much faster. And there were so many of them. They did not fight like council fleets with neat formations and expected tactics. They fought like Earth predators, like wolves hunting in packs. A human destroyer screamed past Xerax's flagship at impossible speed. It did not shoot at his shields. Instead, it targeted the 3 escort vessels protecting his side. All 3 went dark in seconds. They are targeting our support ships. His tactical officer shouted. They are isolating the big vessels. Xerax watched in horror as his fleet, which had conquered a dozen worlds, was taken apart piece by piece. The humans did not just shoot. They planned. They adapted. They exploited weaknesses. They turned debris into weapons. They used natural space phenomena against the aliens. They coordinated attacks across huge distances with perfect precision. Fall back, Xerax ordered. Reform at the outer markers. But there were no outer markers anymore. The humans had removed or destroyed everything useful. Every navigation buoy, every beacon, every piece of infrastructure was gone. They had turned their own star system into a killing field. By the time Xerax escaped with what was left of his fleet, less than half remained. He understood 3 things very clearly now. First, humanity had been preparing for this day since they first met alien species. Second, every smile, every diplomatic meeting, every peace treaty had been built on an unspoken threat. Break the peace and see what happens. Third, and most terrifying, the humans were not just defending their home, they were hunting. As his damaged flagship limped toward the jump point to escape, his sensor officer made one final report. Sir, long-range sensors show human fleets leaving their solar system. Multiple directions. They are heading for council space. Xerax felt his bioluminescence dim with dread. How many fleets? All of them, sir. Every human warship in existence. They are not defending anymore. The officer paused, his voice dropping to a whisper. Sir, they are not coming to negotiate. They are coming for revenge. Xerax sent an urgent message back to the council. His report was simple and terrifying. The humans were coming, and they were angry. For 30 years, humanity had been the galaxy's helpful neighbors. They had been doctors and engineers and diplomats. They had saved lives and built peace and asked for nothing but fairness in return. The galaxy had taken that kindness for weakness. Now they would learn the truth. Humans could be kind. Humans could be peaceful. Humans could be diplomatic. But humans could also be the most dangerous species in the galaxy when you hurt them. Because humans came from a world that tried to kill them every single day. They evolved fighting everything. Fighting the weather. Fighting other animals. Fighting diseases. Fighting each other. They got very, very good at fighting. Then they chose to stop fighting and be peaceful instead. But it was always a choice. And the galaxy had just forced them to make a different choice. Admiral Sunmi stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching her fleet jump toward alien space. Behind her, Earth's entire military force followed. Ships that had been hidden, weapons that had been secret. Soldiers who had trained for a war they hoped would never come. But it had come, and now humanity would show the galaxy what they really were. Not the friendly neighbors who helped everyone. Not the peaceful diplomats who smiled and negotiated. The survivors. The fighters. The descendants of creatures who clawed their way to the top of the food chain through pure stubbornness and refusal to quit. Sunmi thought about Ambassador Daewon dying on the floor of that meeting hall. His last words, "Tell them we tried. They had tried. They had tried so hard to be good, to be peaceful, to fit into the galactic community as friends, and the galaxy had murdered them for it. All ships," Sunmi said into her communication system, "jump on my mark. Remember why we fight. Not for conquest, not for territory, for justice. For Ambassador Daewon, for everyone who died believing in peace." She paused, looking at the stars ahead. "Show them what humanity really means. Jump." The human fleet disappeared into faster-than-light travel. Behind them, Earth's solar system stood ready. Ahead of them, the galaxy waited, not knowing what was coming. They were about to find out, and it would be too late to apologize. The Vectros High Command received the first battle reports with disbelief, then alarm, then pure terror. Chancellor Vorn studied the tactical displays with growing horror. Red markers showing human fleets were spreading through Council space like a disease. They were not following any known military strategy. They were not attacking military bases or important resources. They were attacking everyone who voted to expel them. The Kolix home fleet, his intelligence officer reported, voice shaking in his breathing suit. Destroyed. 17 capital ships gone in 6 hours. The humans sent only one message before they left. "This is for Ambassador Daewon." Then they jumped away before reinforcements could arrive. "What about the Trellix colony at Himaris? Blockaded. Now ships can go in or out." The humans are broadcasting footage of the Taraxis bombing on all communication channels. "They are not destroying the colony, Chancellor. They are showing them the truth." Vorn's breathing tank hissed as he processed this. The humans had obtained real footage from Taraxis security systems. Footage the Council claimed was destroyed in the blast. Footage that showed the real criminals. Vectros Special Forces planting bombs with human signatures, under direct orders from the High Command. The bombing had been an inside job, a false flag operation to justify expelling humanity from the galaxy, and now humanity was making sure every species in the galaxy knew the truth. "How did they get that footage?" Vorn demanded. "We do not know, sir, but it is real. The forensic data is undeniable, and they have more. Communication logs, financial transfers, deployment orders, everything." The intelligence officer hesitated. "Sir, there is something else. The human fleet at Himaris is commanded by someone you might remember." A new face appeared on Vorn's screen. Commander Young Sik, formerly the military assistant to Ambassador Daewon, the same man who held the ambassador as he died on Taraxis. Young Sik's expression was like stone. "Chancellor Vorn, I am told you gave the order personally. The order that killed Ambassador Daewon." Vorn's breathing machine wheezed. "Commander, you must understand it was politically necessary." "Politically necessary." Young Sik's laugh was bitter. "You killed 347 beings for politics. You blamed humanity for your crime. You declared war on us." He leaned forward. "And now, Chancellor, you will understand something about humans. We remember every slight, every betrayal, every friend we lose. We remember and we make things even. What do you want?" Vorn's voice cracked with fear. "Justice," Young Sik said simply. "The Council will meet. Every species that voted to expel us will see the evidence. They will know what you did. Then they will decide your fate. And if we refuse," Young Sik's smile was cold, "then we stop defending and start attacking. We have mapped 46 species homeworlds. We have plotted all your supply lines. We have 3 centuries of human military history that your strategists clearly never studied." He paused. "Did you know we once fought a war that killed 60 million of our own people? For 6 years? Over ideas?" Vorn's bioluminescence dimmed with fear. We are very good at war, Chancellor. It is what we do best. The only reason the galaxy has not seen it is because we chose to be better, but you took that choice away. Young-Sik stood. You have 72 hours to gather the council. After that, we stop asking nicely. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, species that had lived in peace for centuries suddenly remembered an old Earth saying, "Do not wake a sleeping giant." The Vectros had done more than wake humanity. They had reminded them what they truly were, not diplomats, not merchants, not even explorers, survivors, fighters, the children of apes who clawed their way to the top of their world through nothing but determination and absolute refusal to give up. The galaxy had wanted to see what humanity could really do. Now they knew. In the council chambers on Taraxis Prime, rebuilt quickly after the bombing, delegates from 46 species gathered under heavy guard. The Vectros tried to argue. They tried to justify their actions. They tried to defend themselves. But the footage played on every screen, undeniable and damning. And outside, in orbit around Taraxis, a single human destroyer waited. Its name, painted in 6 languages across its hull, said everything. Day One's vengeance. The galaxy learned a hard lesson that day. You could negotiate with humanity. You could trade with them, be friends with them, even disagree with them. But you could not betray them without facing consequences. Because humans remembered everything. The vote was swift and unanimous. Chancellor Vorn and 17 members of the Vectros High Command would be arrested. They would face trial on Earth for war crimes. Then they would face whatever punishment the Council decided. The irony was not lost on anyone. The species that had tried to frame humans for terrorism would now face human justice. But the galaxy had learned something else too. Something perhaps more important. Humanity had not come for conquest. They had not destroyed worlds or killed innocent civilians. Every target had been military. Every attack had been precise. Every action had been measured. They had not become the monsters the galaxy feared. They had become something far more dangerous. They had become justice. Species that had voted against humanity began reaching out. Apologies came from a dozen worlds. Offers of reparations. Promises of fair treatment in the future. The Trellix Collective sent a formal message. They had reviewed the evidence. They understood now. They were sorry. The Kolix, who had lost 17 ships, sent an even simpler message. We were wrong. We are sorry. Please stop. And humanity, showing the mercy that had always been part of their nature, stopped. The fleets returned to defensive positions. The blockades lifted. The attacks ceased. But everyone understood now. This was not weakness. This was choice. Humanity chose to be merciful. But they could choose otherwise if you pushed them. Young-Sik stood on the bridge of his ship looking at Taraxis Prime below. The planet where Ambassador Dewan had died. The planet where everything had changed. He thought about that last moment, holding the ambassador as life left his eyes. The weight of him. The smell of blood and smoke. We did it, sir, Young-Sik whispered to the memory. We got them. We got justice for you. For everyone. Behind him, his crew worked quietly. They were tired. They were ready to go home. But they were also proud. They had fought for something right. For something good. For justice, and they had won, not through cruelty, not through revenge, not through becoming what their enemies feared, through strength, through determination, through the simple, terrifying truth that humanity would not accept injustice no matter the cost. The galaxy had tried to crush humanity. Instead, they had unleashed something they could not control. Not humanity's fury. That would have been easier to handle. They had unleashed humanity's sense of justice. And that was far more dangerous because fury burns hot and fast. Justice burns cold and forever, and the galaxy would never forget it. 6 months after the Taraxis bombing, a new human delegation stood in the rebuilt council chambers. Hana, who had been Ambassador Dewan's assistant, was now Earth's chief diplomat. She looked out at the gathered alien species with eyes that had seen too much death. Beside her stood Young-Sik, now Admiral Young-Sik, wearing new medals for battles nobody had wanted to fight. Behind them, Jiwoo worked quietly, studying the biological stress signals of every delegate in the room. The aliens were afraid. That was good. The new High Arbiter was a Morenth from a world that humanity had once saved from a dying star. It called the meeting to order. The Vectros delegation was not there. Chancellor Vorn and 17 members of the High Command were on Earth, awaiting trial for war crimes. They would face human justice first, then whatever the Council decided. Nobody missed the irony. Ambassador Hana, the High Arbiter, began carefully and respectfully. The Council recognizes Earth's petition for full membership. After recent events, I believe the vote will be unanimous in your favor. Hana stood slowly. The chamber became completely silent. High Arbiter, honored delegates. 347 beings died on Taraxis. Among them was Ambassador Day One, a man who spent 30 years building bridges between humanity and this council. He believed in cooperation, in peace, in the idea that different species could work together for everyone's good. She paused, letting those words sink in. His death taught us that peace requires more than good intentions. It requires accountability. It requires justice. And it requires the will to defend what we have built together. Hana looked directly at the High Arbiter. Humanity accepts full membership in the Galactic Council, but we do so with conditions. Whispers filled the chamber. Conditions? From the species that had just fought half the galaxy to a standstill. First, Hana continued, the Council will create an independent security oversight committee. No more false flag operations. No more political murders disguised as terrorism. Every use of military force will be transparent and accountable. The High Arbiter nodded slowly. Agreed. Second, every member species will contribute to a joint defense force. Not for conquest, but for protection. The next time someone decides to play politics with innocent lives, they will face united opposition. More nods. The delegates had seen what humanity could do alone. Together they would be unstoppable. Third, Hana said, and her voice softened. We name this day Day One's peace. Every species will remember not just what happened here, but why it must never happen again. We honor our dead by making sure nobody else suffers their fate. The silence was broken by the Morenth High Arbiter rising to full height. Ambassador Hana, the Council accepts these conditions. Not because we fear humanity's anger, though that has been adequately demonstrated, but because they are right. It paused. Your species taught us a hard lesson. You came to us in peace, and we tested that peace until it broke. What you showed us in response was not savagery, but justice. Not revenge, but accountability. Humanity has earned its place here, not through diplomacy alone, but through the strength to enforce it. Welcome to the Galactic Council, Ambassador. May we never give you reason to remind us of this lesson again. The vote was unanimous. Later, on an observation deck in the diplomatic quarter, Hana stood with young Sik and Ji-Woo. They watched the stars that Daewon had loved so much. Do you think he would have approved? Ji-Woo asked quietly. Of what we did? Hana thought about the question. Daewon had been a man of peace, yes, but he had also been practical. He understood that sometimes peace had to be defended with strength. I think, she said finally, he would have preferred we never had to show them our strength. But I also think he would be proud that when pushed we did not break. We did not become the monsters they feared. We just made sure they understood the cost of making us their enemy. Young Sik nodded. Admiral Sunmi sent word. The fleet is returning to our solar system. Most of it, anyway. We are keeping ships out here, just to remind everyone. Remind them that they hurt us? Ji-Woo asked. That we healed, Hana corrected. But we did not forget. And we will not let it happen to anyone else. She pulled out a small hologram device. Daewon's face appeared, frozen in a moment of laughter at some diplomatic party years ago. He looked young, hopeful, full of dreams about what humanity could achieve among the stars. We did it, Ambassador. Hana whispered to the image. Not the way you wanted. But we got there. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity could be your greatest friend or your worst enemy. The choice was yours, but if you chose to test them, if you decided to see what happened when you pushed humanity too far, then you better be ready for what came next. Because humans remembered everything, they always remembered, and in the end, that memory, combined with the will to act on it, had changed the political order of an entire galaxy. The Council had tried to crush humanity's spirit. Instead, they had unleashed its fury and created something far more powerful than they ever imagined. A humanity that was united, determined, and finally, undeniably, equal. Ambassador Daewon had died trying to make humanity equal through peace. His death had achieved it through strength. And now, 6 months later, Humanity sat as full members of the Galactic Council, not as guests, not as probationary members, not as second-class citizens, as equals. The price had been terrible. 347 lives lost in the bombing, thousands more in the brief but brutal war that followed. Ships destroyed. Trust shattered. Peace broken. But from that terrible price came something new. A galaxy where justice mattered, where accountability existed, where no species, no matter how powerful, could commit crimes without facing consequences. And at the center of it all, humanity stood, not as conquerors, not as tyrants, not as the monsters the galaxy had feared, as guardians, protectors of the peace they had fought so hard to achieve. Young Sik looked at the hologram of Ambassador Daewon one more time before Hana turned it off. "Rest well, sir," he said quietly. "Your dream came true. Just took a different path than you expected." The three humans stood together, looking out at the vast galaxy spread before them. A galaxy that now knew humanity not just for their kindness or their intelligence or their helpfulness, but for something more important, their strength, their justice, their absolute refusal to accept injustice no matter the cost. The galaxy had tried to kill humanity's hope. Instead, they had forged it into something unbreakable, and the stars would never forget. The end.